Chapter 1: The Day the Sky Darkened. The day it all began was just like any other. Cities hummed with the noise of daily life, children played in the streets, and across the globe, people were going about their business. Until, without warning, the sky darkened, not from clouds, but from the massive silhouette of an alien fleet. They weren't here to negotiate. They weren't here to learn. The Salvari, a race of hyper-advanced, coldly logical beings, had arrived with a singular purpose: subjugate Earth, as they had hundreds of worlds before. They had conquered systems with ease, assimilating or wiping out any resistance. No civilization had been able to stop them. Their fleet hung ominously in Earth's atmosphere, black as obsidian and larger than any human-made object could ever be. The Salvari didn't make mistakes. Their strategy was precise and flawless. They didn't bother with drawn-out battles, they overran defenses in minutes and crushed rebellion with overwhelming power. But Earth wasn't like the other worlds they'd conquered. Chapter 2: The Impossible Demand. The first message came through every communication device on Earth, in perfect human language. ***, humans. You are inferior. You will surrender your planet immediately. Failure to comply will result in the obliteration of your cities. You have 72 hours to surrender. ***. The message left humanity in shock. The world's leaders convened hastily, military forces mobilized, and the question on everyone's mind was simple: how do you fight an enemy so far beyond you? In underground bunkers, military commanders and scientists pored over data, trying to find some way to counter the invaders. The Salvari ships were impervious to Earth's weapons, nuclear missiles wouldn't even scratch their shields, and conventional forces would be wiped out before they could engage. Their ground forces were reportedly bioengineered, their technology centuries ahead of anything humans could imagine. Yet amid the panic, a different plan was taking shape. Chapter 3: Humans Don't Follow the Rules. General Rebecca Langford, head of Earth's newly unified military command, stood before the assembled leaders of the world. Tensions were high, everyone understood the stakes. "We don't have the firepower to defeat them," Langford began, her voice calm but grim. "But we don't need to." There was silence in the room. "What we have that the Salvari can't predict is our unpredictability, she said, her eyes scanning the room. "They operate with precision. Their technology is flawless, their tactics impeccable. But they can't understand chaos, they can't anticipate something that doesn't follow the rules." The leaders were skeptical, but Langford had spent her career studying asymmetric warfare, and she understood how an inferior force could topple a superior one, by using the enemy's strength against them. The Salvari relied on their logic, their perfection. But humanity's history was riddled with examples of the underdog winning through sheer audacity. "They see us as primitive," Langford continued, "and that's our advantage." Chapter 4: A War Like No Other. As the deadline approached, the Salvari expected Earth to beg for mercy or surrender. But instead, they encountered something unexpected: silence. In their calculations, the humans should have launched a futile defense, sending jets and missiles at their ships. They were prepared for an easily crushed military assault. What they weren't prepared for was what came next. Earth's response came in the form of electronic warfare. Hackers from every corner of the globe, coordinated in secret, launched attacks on the Salvari's digital infrastructure. They didn't need to understand the alien technology, they simply needed to overwhelm it with brute force. Billions of lines of random code, viruses, and malware designed to overload any system they touched. It was the digital equivalent of throwing sand into a finely tuned machine. The Salvari's networks began to suffer from glitches, minor at first, but growing with each passing minute. Their targeting systems flickered, sensors became unreliable, and for the first time in millennia, they experienced. They had never faced an enemy like this. Chapter 5: The Power of Deception. The Salvari fleet hovered over Earth's atmosphere, ready to strike, but their precision was failing. They couldn't lock onto targets with the same efficiency, and their communications suffered from interference they couldn't eliminate. On the ground, General Langford and her team prepared the next phase. They knew direct confrontation was suicide. Instead, they planned to deceive. Earth's militaries deployed decoys, hundreds of them. Old tanks, gutted planes, even inflatable replicas of military hardware were scattered across strategic locations. To the Salvari's compromised systems, they all appeared real. The aliens sent their troops down, expecting to annihilate Earth's forces with ease, but what they found were ghost armies. And then the guerrilla warfare began. Human soldiers, hidden in dense urban environments, used guerrilla tactics perfected over centuries of warfare. They didn't engage the Salvari head-on. Instead, they ambushed from the shadows, using hit-and-run attacks, improvised traps, and even primitive ballistic weapons that the Salvari's energy shields were never designed to counter. The Salvari, bioengineered for perfection, could not comprehend the sheer chaos of human resistance. Their genetically modified soldiers were built for strength and speed, but they faltered in the confusion of urban warfare. They had expected to crush a conventional army. What they got was a nightmare of disorder. Chapter 6: When Perfection Fails. The Salvari commanders were enraged. No species had ever caused them so much trouble. Their tactics had always worked, their technology was unmatched, and yet these humans, these primitive beings, were defying them at every turn. The Salvari began to escalate. They bombarded Earth cities from orbit, believing they could crush humanity's will by destroying its population centers. But even this backfired. In a move that stunned the Salvari, humanity's resistance only grew fiercer in the face of destruction. Entire cities went underground, forming networks of resistance fighters. Civilians joined the fight, using whatever they had, Molotov cocktails, homemade explosives, even rocks, to fight back against the invaders. The Salvari couldn't understand it. In their cold logic, a species facing annihilation should have submitted. But humanity wasn't like other species. Chapter 7: The Tipping Point. With their fleet systems still compromised, and their ground forces unable to secure control, the Salvari made one final attempt to break Earth. They deployed their most powerful weapon, the Veldrith Cannon *, a superweapon capable of wiping out entire cities in a single blast. They aimed it at Earth's most populous city, New York. But General Langford had anticipated this. In a desperate gamble, she had ordered the construction of makeshift EMP devices, hidden in strategic locations across the globe. While Earth didn't have the technology to disrupt the Salvari's energy shields directly, the EMPs, when detonated simultaneously, could create a brief window of vulnerability. As the Veldrith cannon charged, Langford gave the order. The EMPs detonated. The Salvari ships faltered. Their shields flickered, just for a moment, but it was enough. Earth's remaining ballistic missiles, relics of the old nuclear age, launched. The Salvari watched in disbelief as the primitive projectiles streaked toward their flagship. The missiles struck. For the first time in 1,000 years, a Salvari warship was destroyed. Chapter 8: The Retreat. The destruction of their flagship sent shockwaves through the Salvari fleet. Their perfect record of conquest had been shattered by a species they considered no more than a nuisance. They had never encountered an enemy so willing to sacrifice, so unpredictable in its tactics. The Salvari began to withdraw. On Earth, the cheers were deafening. Humanity had done the impossible. They had fought off an enemy far beyond their capabilities, not with superior firepower or advanced technology, but with creativity, audacity, and an unwillingness to give up. As the last Salvari ship disappeared from Earth's orbit, General Langford stood before the world, bruised but victorious. "They thought we were weak," she said, her voice broadcast to every corner of the globe. "They thought they could break us. But they underestimated what it means to be human."